If you are in your 20s or early 30s, I guarantee you have heard this exact phrase from your parents, your coworkers, or some real estate agent on TikTok. Renting is just throwing money away. You need to buy a starter home and get on the property ladder as soon as possible. We are completely brainwashed by society to believe that home ownership is the ultimate symbol of adulthood, and that if you're still renting at 28, you are somehow failing financially. My name is Nick, and I talk about the psychology of money and how to actually build wealth instead of blindly following outdated advice. Today, we are talking about the starter home lie, why rushing to buy a house in your 20s is one of the fastest ways to destroy your financial future, and why renting is actually a superpower. Let's start with the math that the real estate industry conveniently leaves out. When they tell you that renting is throwing money away, they imply that paying a mortgage means you're keeping all that money for yourself. This is a catastrophic misunderstanding of how a 30-year mortgage actually works. Let's say you buy a $400,000 starter home. Because of how amortization schedules are calculated, for the first 5 to 7 years of that loan, the vast majority of your monthly payment is going straight to interest. You are not building massive equity. You are just renting money from the bank instead of renting an apartment from a landlord. And that is before we even talk about the phantom costs. When you rent, your monthly rent is the absolute maximum you will pay for housing that month. If the roof leaks, the AC dies, or the property taxes go up, that is your landlord's problem. When you own the house, your mortgage is the absolute minimum you will pay. You are suddenly on the hook for property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA fees, and thousands of dollars in sudden repairs. All of that is unrecoverable money. You are throwing it away just as much as you throw away rent. But the real trap of the starter home isn't just the maintenance costs. It is the destruction of your two most powerful wealth-building tools in your 20s, your compound interest and your career mobility. Let's talk about compound interest first. To buy that starter home, you usually have to drain your entire life savings for a down payment and closing costs. Then, because you are house poor and constantly paying for repairs and furniture, you have no money left over at the end of the month to invest. You are tying up all your capital in a single illiquid asset. If you had just continued to rent a cheaper apartment and invested that $50,000 down payment plus the extra $500 a month you were saving on maintenance into an S&P 500 index fund, the compound interest over the next 40 years would absolutely dwarf the appreciation of that starter home. Then there's the career mobility trap. Your 20s and 30s are the most critical years for increasing your income. Mathematically, the fastest way to double your salary is by job hopping and moving to wherever the best opportunities are. But when you buy a house, you are strapping a 30-year concrete anchor to your ankle. If you get a job offer in another city that pays 40% more, you can't just pack up and leave. You have to sell a house. And here's the brutal reality of real estate. Because of agent commissions, closing costs, and fees, it costs about 8 to 10% of the home's value just to sell it. If you buy a starter home and move 3 years later, those transaction costs will completely wipe out any appreciation you gained. You will literally lose money. Society pushes the starter home narrative because it keeps people trapped, predictable, and heavily in debt to the banks. Buying a house is a wonderful thing to do when you are truly ready to settle down in one specific location for 7 to 10 years, and when you have enough cash that the mortgage won't suffocate your ability to invest. But if you are young, single, or just starting your career, renting is not throwing money away. Renting is buying flexibility. Renting is buying the freedom to take career risks. Renting is buying the ability to funnel 20% of your income into the stock market while someone else pays to fix your plumbing. Stop letting boomer financial advice make you feel guilty for being financially strategic. If you want to keep learning the real, unglamorous mechanics of building wealth and avoiding middle-class traps, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.